Should have been down here Saturday. It was full.
You did? Stay here? Stay here?
Are you going to talk to us first?
I can talk to you first, yeah. Okay. I've been invited by Sam as a guest speaker on this 2015 RBC tour.
You are.
Thank you very much. I'm Mike Wilcox. I spent the first half of the year with the Recreation Parks Department, and the second half of the year, me and my crew are working out of the Public Works Department. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the amenity improvements we're trying to make out here for the visitors and for the residents. This restroom in particular is one of our newer restrooms. The floor finishes on it, however, were a porous concrete material up until earlier this year. With the porous concrete material, you get a lot of odors that are retained in the restroom, and the original slope to the floor was not adequate to actually slope directly to the drains. We came in earlier this year and put in a filler material, sloped everything to the drains, and we capped it with an epoxy that also has a slip-resistant sand material in it. So a couple things we've done there. It's made a great improvement for sanitation. The odors are gone. The sanitation, the crew can come in and clean this floor much quicker, and everything slopes and drains to the floors. As far as public safety goes, we don't have the pooling of water, and we have the slip-resistant material that's added into that floor cutting. It's been a great improvement. You'll notice as you tour our city or as you go to our restroom facilities, we've changed out every single hand wash sink with a 0.5 gallon GPM faucets. They're touchless faucets. You don't have to touch them anymore. They come on automatically. They shut off automatically. In addition to that, all of our facilities we've installed sanitizers. So if you choose not to use the water, there's an option to use a sanitizer. So we're shooting for giving the public as much options as possible and for the water reduction for water conservation. Another amenity, another thing we've been forced to do this year based on staffing resources and is to shut down all of our restrooms at night. It's something we've pushed off as long as possible. You know, a lot of other agencies and state parks are doing this. We finally had to come around and say, you know what, we got to shut these things down at night. We don't have the manpower to clean them at night and again in the morning. Staff gets in at 7 o'clock in the morning. So what we're doing is we're running some part-time custodial at night. They're cleaning the restrooms thoroughly at night and locking them at night. So when we get here in the morning, we just have to open them. They're clean and ready for the public use. This one, the rock restroom, got a little bit of pushback from the local surfers on that. We got people out here at 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe earlier, surfing, and the facilities are closed until 7:30. So we're working closely with a couple of our trusted surfers. We put in some combination padlocks. We've given that combination to those surfers that use the facility early in the morning, and they're opening it up. It's working out great. We've done the same thing at Centennial, where Burgess Fishing has people down there as early as 5 o'clock in the morning getting ready to board. And then the local Sun and Buns right next door has some customers in early in the morning, and that restaurant hasn't been open until about 7:30. So they're going to put some combination locks on the doors. We've given out that combination to a certain select few people, and that's working out great. So it's just been fun to work closely with the public and volunteers. They're supporting our efforts to try to keep our bathrooms cleaner, but still service as many people as possible. So that's kind of all I wanted to touch on. Sam, I don't know if you want to plug anything for the recreation events that go on here at the Rock. Maybe you've got a big one this weekend, I guess.
Sure, let me do it. I'll get up here so I can get in the camera.
What time do they close them at night?
So obviously the Rock and the beach are crucial to what we do for recreation services. This weekend is the Rock to Pier Run. I believe as of today we have about 1,140 registered participants for that event. We probably will eclipse over 1,200 by the weekend. We obviously get a lot of folks who are little stragglers who are going to register on the day of the event. Recreation services also, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, we also do the facility reservations, including film permitting. So when a company comes into the community and wants to film something, they're going to come to recreation services. The Rock and this beach obviously is a popular place for those types of things. We actually I believe we issued today a permit. Sherry, do you know if we actually issued it?
You know what, I'm not sure.
Hopefully we've issued soon a permit for Visit California to come shoot a commercial about Morro Bay. Apparently there's a local bubblesmith who, that is a person who apparently blows very giant large bubbles, 100 feet long or something. And he's going to be down on the beach and I'm going to film it. And I don't know the whole concept because it's their shoot, but we had the pleasure of working with them, to come down on the beach and shoot here locally and tell the story of Morro Bay.
What other recreation programs do we do here?
Thank you. So we also actually I think are just getting ready to finish up junior lifeguards. That was a very popular program. We've got a lot of great feedback on that. I think they're going into second session, and we have parents begging us to let more people do that. So that's a really, really big one right now. The Harbor Department obviously does the normal lifeguards, but the junior lifeguards program is through the Recreation Services Department.
And Project Surf Camp, is that something we're doing in conjunction with?
Yes, we work on all the permitting for Project Surf Camp. It is an independent nonprofit agency, but we have both staff members and actually council members who volunteer for that organization. So I think this is week 1 for them, and they go through next week, I believe. So yeah, the city manager hopes to get down there next week and hang out a little bit too, so we're excited for that.
I wish we could expand more on the junior lifeguards, and I know they have. I think it increased about, say 20–30%, and we still, I mean, probably within 3 weeks, our average first week of junior lifeguard, the 3-week program, is on a waiting list. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing, but it takes a lot of stuff, a lot of qualified stuff, a lot of training to put that on, and boy, that's like a gold mine. Last year, they actually did a videotape of it, one of the kids. It was amazing. It shocked me when I saw the different things that these kids were exposed. It made me want to go out there and do it, and I couldn't believe what they're looking at in our beautiful community.
Thank you, Sherry. So for the camera, just in case you couldn't hear that, basically Sherry was saying how amazing junior lifeguard program is. We have a waiting list. It's very popular. There obviously also is a camp. Is it Cayucas is the other camp, or is it Los Osos?
Cayucas.
Thank you, Cayucas. And so that we have a balance there, trying to people use both. They do have a little bit of a cost difference. So sometimes just trying to find the right balance of if we want to offer more or if folks are going to go to Cayucas. The other aspect she mentioned was the video that was shot, and a lot of that was shot on a little GoPro camera. And they've done another one this year, but there's an 8-minute video, and pretty soon we're going to post that to Facebook to show the community how wonderful Junior Lifeguards is. So I have last year's version, but I'm hoping for an update, so we'll see. Is that about it?
I think
Good
so.
to go?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Ready to roll, Mike?
Oh yeah, go for it.
I go when you tell me.
Oh, okay. I'll figure it out when they start here.
Because I didn't know if you're gonna get off and roam around or.
You'd probably go if I got off.
I would.
I'm just getting the park here. Oh wow. Yeah, my friend was working for an airline and he got some deadhead options, but not anything like that.
We can get out if you guys want.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna look at the playground.
Wait, and it wasn't just.
I found we fly out of. So remember what the other. Hi, Captain.
Hey.
Okay, supposed to bring up. It's organize a like best business improvement every year for.
So this is the Tidelands Playground. For a couple years now, we've been talking about making some renovations to the playground. Different ideas here, different ideas there. We've had to eliminate some elements in that period of time. Right where you guys are standing, there used to be a ramp up to the deck, or the absence of a deck here for the ship. On the other side of the ship, there used to be a ground level object that looked like another boat. It had a crow's nest and a ladder going up to it. The wood was rotten. We had to remove that element from the park for safety purposes. We still have the mast, no crow's nest, no ladder going up to it. Good news. We met with a California Joint Powers Insurance Agency third-party specialist. He's a certified playground safety inspector just this morning. He's looked at this structure. He's looked at all the elements in the playground. And by good news, I mean he's told me that we don't have to remove this boat. There's things we can do to this ship to make it compliant. There was big concern amongst a lot of the old timers and a lot of people who have grown up playing on this ship. It's been here a long time. It's an icon in this park. We didn't want to remove it, and I'm glad to have this expert's opinion to tell us we don't have to. We're going to have to add some railing. It's 32 inches tall around the stern, around the bow, on all of these flat surfaces that you can walk on until we get down to that entry and exit point on the ship. The cannons are not a concern because of their elevation off the sand. At one point we thought they were going to be a sticking point. People can get their head in there and get caught, but because the elevation off the ground, that's not a concern. The masts we were concerned about being wood and people climbing them. The original design of the element is not for the mast to be climbed, so we should not be concerned with that as a potential problem. Plus, we've never had a claim on somebody climbing the mast. Walking down the ladder backwards is not probably recommended. So the good news, we get to save this. The stepping element that you guys are leaning up at or sitting on over there, it's recommended that needs to go away. It's rotting. There's a potential for splinters, a potential for falling off. The highest element is above the allowable distance off the ground for fall, or the absence there of fall material, fall prevention material. That needs to go. The missing element over here does need to be replaced with something. It should be an accessible element because that is the ramp access into the playground. So 30% of our elements need to be accessible, handicap accessible, ADA accessible, I believe is the correct way to say that. So we do need to purchase an element for over there. We do need to purchase something for over here. That I'm going to push back to the RPC to determine what those elements look like. And then you tell me what you want me to buy and what we want to install down here. It's been suggested, there's a couple of plans out there, I don't know if you've seen them already, maybe once, maybe twice, different ideas. There's a suggestion to put a pod of dolphins out here, of these spring dolphins just in that area. It's just a low line, doesn't require an impact resistant pad or material, the sand is fine. And then something pirate themed or maritime themed for the other elements is all I would recommend, but that's, once again, it's up to you guys to determine that. And I think everybody's going to be happy at the end of the day. Other good news is the concrete cast mammals and the whale's tail do not need to go away. Based on the slope and the lack of flat surfaces, they are not a climbing and a fall hazard. So that's our professional's recommendation, is not to do anything with those. Leave them there as a visual element for the playland. So I was happy to hear all that this morning. We'll get the official report probably in a couple of weeks, and I'll be working with Sam. I'll give him the ideas that I've seen in the past, the electronic and the hard copies of different ideas, and hopefully we make a decision on this thing before December rolls around this year. I'd like to get in and out of this project and be done with it. We do have some money set aside for this project. So the old fall material over here by the old crow's nest, which used to be a fall hazard, there's no longer a fall hazard. So it's recommended just to remove that material and backfill with sand, just like the rest of the playground. So we're happy about that. I'm not going to visit the facilities down there, but I did want to comment on, there again, we've made more improvements with water conservation. Same thing with the sinks. The outdoor showers have been turned off. I may not have mentioned that earlier. The outdoor showers at the Rock have been turned off. The outdoor shower here at Tidelands has been turned off. Indoor pay facilities is still on here. The indoor paying facilities at the harbor restroom is still available for people who are living on boats or people who are here early in the morning just need to take a shower. Maybe you're done fishing, you got a little messy, you need to take a shower. Those facilities are still open and available. Talk a little bit about the turf. It is browning. It's browning intentionally. We're watering twice a week, as little as we can to just keep it barely alive. There were a couple of parks we passed on the way here. One is Anchor Memorial, and one is Centennial, which we're going to go back to here in a minute. Those are dead. We're allowing them to die. Primarily, we actually talked about it before Governor Brown told us we needed to do it, but that's, what's the correct term, Rob? Is that just decorative?
Ornamental turf areas that direction is not to irrigate those. Active turf areas. Those are allowed to be irrigated, but we're trying to eliminate as much irrigation possible on that ornamental turf, and ultimately probably replace it with something more sustainable. I mean, we've looked at some artificial products that I guess I haven't looked at artificial turf in 20 years. Sure looks different these days than it did 20 years ago. So we'll be looking at that to perhaps to do down there, or look at some drought tolerant landscaping in some of our other areas. But you know, those areas that people like to sit around in, the gravel and grasses probably aren't the most attractive product to, you know, lounge around in.
So Mike, as far as the structures here, review, we have to put rails on the ship.
From this point, because it's above 32 inches,
Okay.
this will need to have a railing on it to then prevent this from being a climbing area you can stand on.
And this goes away, and that old crow's nest goes
The
away.
mast and the backfill and the fall resistant material, the fall impact material here will all go away.
Okay.
Something needs to come back over there.
Okay.
Otherwise it's just a big blank
Right.
spot.
Right.
I think there were ideas of putting another balance element like that, but if you step back and look at the playground, all these concrete walls are essentially a balance element. I don't know that you need another balancing element in the playground. An active element like what's here, but maybe updated, was one of the concepts several months ago.
So for the allocated money, those things need to be done, and then replace.
These need to be done. This needs to be done first. That should probably be done second. The removal of all that material and replacing with sand. Definitely the tallest pillar right behind you needs to be cut down. Depending on the funding, it should probably just be removed and replaced with another playground element. And I think we've got enough in that bucket of money to make all that happen.
Do you have any thought to making the outdoor showers pay showers?
It still doesn't. The fact that we need to conserve water, and I believe state parks put out a mandate just last week. They're shutting down all of their outdoor showers also. We did it before them, but yeah, they're following suit.
Okay.
You'll see a little bit, if you look at the stairs on the way out, you'll see that we put some new safety treads on these stairs, and we're going to stop at Centennial, get a close-up look at those. We've done Centennial, the Olive Street staircase, and the Bayshore staircase. That's a nice improvement. I can think of what else.
And you notice we didn't do the Surf Street staircase.
Yeah.
That probably needs a little more work than just stair treads.
Yeah.
We're looking at that today and envisioning maybe a ramp system that might possibly fit in there. So I'm going to have one of my intern engineers lay something out there to see if we can fit something in that right away.
Could we do a children's survey about what kind of, because my little neighbor absolutely loves this boat. She's 6, and she would absolutely be upset if you got rid of the boat, so I'm glad you're keeping the boat. And she loves the seals.
It's all staying.
The seals are staying.
Everything except for that.
Okay.
And then we're gonna put something back. And then on the other side, we'll get rid of the big mast over there. You can't really see it from where you're at, Linda, but we're gonna put more here. So we're gonna enhance this facility.
Okay, great.
I think only one other thing that we talked about this year and we're going to make happen over the course of the next several months is the installation of power pedestals at this location. We're trying to get more and more events. It's such a beautiful spot. We don't have power throughout the park, and it's nice to have power if you got a vendor, a food vendor, anything. So we're going to install probably 3 to 4 power pedestals in different locations in the park here. That'll be a nice improvement going forward.
And if I can add on that, Mike, so I don't know if any of you attended the Family Fun Day at Thailand's Park. It was an amazing event. And the staff of the Recreation Services Division and Public Works staff, they all did awesome. It was amazing. We had a little kiddie carnival and kind of a obstacle course. I was blanking out there for a second, but an obstacle course. My little boys love that. I couldn't get them off of it, you know. And there's face painting and all this stuff, and they just did a great job. And when staff reviewed the event afterward, it was very clear that we want to keep doing amazing things like that for the community. And there were some improvements we could make to the park to, like Mike said, to do that. One thing we thought we could probably enhance what we did over here in this parking lot. We had a very large fire truck and a police vehicle. The food vendors were kind of too far away almost, I think, and so getting power closer might help bring some food vendors closer to encourage people to utilize that. So it was just really clear when we did the after action discussion that this is a jewel in the community and we want to utilize it more. And we're going to continue to do that as a city. We're going to try to determine what are some of our signature events and then kind of move forward with determining where they'll be at and how we do that. And I think that you know, our RPC will be involved, I think, in the future in kind of how we work on those events and giving us feedback on them.
What is the, you know, like Sea Pines has the concerts in the park, a lot of them do. What?
Sure.
Is that a losing battle to have one here as far as, because there's
That's
not
a
a lot
good
of cost
question.
recovery on that.
You
But
know, I'll say there's been a discussion about potentially a community fundraiser for a very large gazebo in City Park, and where they might have like Sunday concerts in the park there. There's always room for more concerts in the park, I think. There's plenty of musicians that would be willing to do that. Obviously, it might come down to cost in terms of if we have some funding to rent a musician for a few hours or whatever, but I think hopefully soon we'll maybe bring a discussion to you about that gazebo and kind of where we go, if you like that idea of where it goes and all that. That was Red Davis's idea. He kind of said, let's do a gift to ourselves as a community. And I love that idea, so yeah, we'll keep talking about that.
Having power would be really critical.
Absolutely.
One of the things that Sea Pines has going for it is it has the restaurant and bar area right there, so
Sure.
the vendors, the food is available, and so not only are you having music and dance and all of that, but you also have food and drink.
Sure.
So if bringing power into this area, if you were thinking about concerts down in this area, which would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
You'd certainly have to have power. So you could bring the vendors closer, and the vendors would come, of course, because they want to make a profit.
Yeah, where could you get a better view for music?
That's
in the
right.
park?
I mean, it would blow Sea Pines away.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true. But Sea Pines is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
They do
is.
have a nice setup there.
Yeah.
I go there quite a bit.
Yeah, so
You might
so-
edit
And it's
that part
walking
out of
distance.
Yeah.
barefoot underneath.
Yeah, that's right.
So are we good, Mike?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's get on the boat.
Smoke out of there.
Developer is
Well, they told them they had to put a roundabout in, and they weren't going to pay for that, or they were Yeah.
That's been empty forever, yeah.
When the cabins were up there?
No, I will say that Morrowby on this strip right here has more restrooms open to the public than any town. We always say, how great is that? We're here for the tourists.
So we'll just stand here because you can kind of turn around and see everything I want to talk about at the same time. The stair treads, once again, if you want to go over there and kick them, run up and down the stairs. They're very nice improvement. There's no more undulations in the treads. They're nice and I won't say level, but they're nice and smooth and flat from one end to the next.
I can attest to that. I go up all the time.
And as we move forward in the next several months, we're going to be replacing some of the handrails. Not this one so much as the Olive Street stair, and then we need to add handrails at the Bayshore stair. It's just a requirement. It's something it's been overlooked over the years, but it's a necessary evil in order to make sure that those stairs are 100% compliant with safety standards.
No vernacular?
That may or may not be in the future. I don't know. That was the location for the planned vernacular.
As you remember, we had the joint PWAB Parks and Rec Commission meeting where I think the elevator was finally the consensus at that. So the elevator would go in here. That was a condition of the sale of this property to put the, I think in the sales agreement it says lift station, whatever a lift station is. I think elevator is our latest vision of that. I know there's some financial issues with this property right now. So we're actually first on title. So we're looking forward to that issue to be settled, so that I think the only way that it's probably going to be built is if the owners turn the funds over to the city and we make it into a capital project.
These stairs were made with out of the first water tank that Morro Bay had.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll be commencing soon a series of workshops to envision how we connect downtown to the Embarcadero. So we are about to hire a local planning design firm to put together some ideas, and then we'll do charrettes on that, bring in the community to review that, and then also to look at a promenade up and down the Embarcadero to better facilitate pedestrian traffic than that 5-foot sidewalk that's over there.
The only thing I wanted to add, obviously, is you see the sign that says "Thank you, volunteers from Morro Bay and Bloom."
Plug them. They're good.
Yeah, they did some awesome work for us, and they just had their American Bloom judging. The 2 judges from out of the area came to Morro Bay, and they toured Morro Bay and Bloom, toured them all over the community, showed them all of the great work they're doing, and honestly, the Morro Bay and Bloom group also showed the great work that the city's doing, and other community volunteer groups. And so the awesome thing about the American Bloom kind of event is that it's not just about that organization doing their work, it's about the overall vision of a community and what we do as a community together. So that's pretty neat. So kudos to Morro Bay and Bloom for the work they do.
For example, this area is used for the Avocado Margarita Festival. That permitting goes through Public Works or through Recreation?
Goes through Recreation.
Yeah, so that's a public area use permit, and that we simply do the application, but it's a team effort of all departments. So we have a special events team, and everyone is emailed that application. We all do review. All the departments decide if there are any conditions that need to be placed. So it really is a team effort. We just do the paperwork.
Is there any thought of developing an area within the city to have festivals like that can expand and grow?
I'm not sure if we've had that specific discussion. I do know that we are very supportive of the events that are coming down here. We think that's a really good idea. Really focuses that draw down here. But that's a future conversation to have as well.
So I want to turn and look at the restroom facility again. Here's something else that staff has been working on or worked on recently. We've replaced the skylights on the roof here. We've replaced the bird screens. We used to have bird screens throughout on all 4 of those panels. But as you walk into the restroom, you'll see that there's a roof inside of the roof. The roof inside of the roof is sheetrock. It was never a good idea to have wire protecting the sheetrock roof inside of the roof. So we replaced those 2 inner panels on both sides with a plexiglass. We no longer get rain coming into the restroom, driving rain coming in the sides. You'll see the sink arrangement. There used to be 2 sinks and 2 hand dryers. There's 1 sink, 2 sanitizers, 1 sanitizer, 1 soap, and a hand dryer. People have an option. We're not using as much water at this facility because of that option. A lot of people don't like to touch the sink. A lot of people don't like to touch anything. They just use the hand sanitizer. It's an automatic dispenser hand sanitizer. It is saving us water, believe it or not. I've been talking about water on and on and on tonight. We plan to come in the fall. We've got money set aside. We're going to not only retrofit, we've done all the sinks, we're going to retrofit all of our toilets and all of our urinals with low flow. It's going to be a big project. We want to do it when we're not in the tourist season. But there'll be periods of time when each individual restroom is shut down for those retrofits.
I want to talk a little bit about the rainwater.
I was going to say, if you want to come just this way a little bit, you can see that there's a concrete pad we poured. Right next, the trash can is sitting on the concrete pad, just because it looks better than a bare concrete pad. But there are 2 big poly tanks inside this plumbing chase. One of them's about 530 gallons, the other one's about 260 gallons. We're going to put one on this side, and there's an identical pad on the back. We're going to be rainwater harvesting here. This one on the front is going to have the pump on it. There'll be an interpretive panel so the public can come up, read the interpretive panel, understand what's going on, see how simple it is for them to go home and develop something similar at their home or at their barn. It is pretty straightforward. The equipment we've been blessed with is pretty high end. It's nice stuff. It was purchased through a grant through the NEP, and Morro Bay and Bloom negotiated that deal. Morro Bay and Bloom has purchased the equipment, and we're working cooperatively with them, with city staff, to do the final installation. So that'll be a nice amenity, not only from hey, we're doing the right thing, but it's communicating to the folks that come by, and there's a lot of folks that come by here. This is what you can do to save this at your place. And as you rotate a little bit more, of course, we have our wonderful chessboard.
A lot of use too.
It gets a lot of use. June, July, and August. we have free chess. Thank you, Commission, for allowing that. Thank you, Council, for agreeing with the Commission's recommendation to do that. We break out the plastic pieces and there you go. Play chess all day.
So is the water you capture going to be for watering this area?
It will be for watering this area. I think eventually Morro Bay and Bloom's going to make some improvements to that hillside. They're the ones responsible for keeping it weed free and keeping the mulch on it right now. If water becomes more abundant, or we're very, very successful with water harvesting, definitely all this existing plant material will be irrigated that way. We're talking about changing the turf out to a artificial turf or artificial surface. But yeah, we might make some improvements at that hillside and add more plants up there. That's pretty much all I had to discuss about the 3 places we've stopped. Any questions, so fire away. Or any additional questions? We've already had some.
Back at Coleman for the basketball and old tennis court, any thoughts about how we could more utilize that for recreation?
That's a great question for Sam. If there's more programs out there that you want to push towards that hard service, I don't know.
Pickleball said that it was too windy for them to play there, and they didn't like the surface. But I would sure like to see something going on in that space.
Something more, yeah. Well, the surface, as you know, was there. I don't know if it was installed for the skate park, but it was there underneath the old skate park. The skate park was relocated to the teen center, and at the time, we just had a big asphalt surface. We thought, hey, let's make a minor improvement and put in some basketball hoops. Build it, they will come. Well, they didn't come, but it's still a nice surface. You're right, it could be a multi-use surface. I don't think
people like to play though.
Yeah,
Coast
Guard loves to play there.
Yeah.
So I don't know that the nets will ever come down, but yeah, there might be a dual function or a multi-function that could.
I mean, you look at a city like Newport Beach, and they've got basketball courts right on the beach there, and you can't get on them because there's so many people playing. But they're a nice, smooth concrete surface. Yeah, and they're low.
Part of it obviously also comes down to our demographics, especially during the daytime when we're out there looking at it. When I'm working, I drive around. Maybe you're out too. Some folks that maybe would use those are working when we're hanging out here. So that's kind of the trick of it, is how do we encourage people to use it more? Our demographics maybe don't speak well to having more basketball out there. So we got to keep looking at that and figuring out what would work. But you raise a good point. What can we do for recreation? Maybe we should have a tournament out there. Just have a little 3-on-3 tournament, a little mini one. Could work.
Harbor versus Coast Guard.
There you go.
Is there any? I don't know if this fits into our thing, but there's certain areas where you can, if you're pretty nimble, you can put in kayaks into the bay. Is there any thought of us providing ramps or anything for access to the beach area? I'm thinking of Coleman down. That's where I launched my kayak, and it's pretty hairy carrying a kayak down through that area. And I noticed down by the state park, the kayak place down there, they have put in a little bit of a ramp, walking ramp, so people can walk down and put their boats in. So
that's probably a harbor question, but I'll relay it to them, and I'll see if I can get some answers as to if they've ever envisioned or planned something there.
I believe they're working on a grant for an accessible kayak launch at Tidelands.
Yeah, not Coleman, Tidelands.
I noticed that some of the chess pieces are broken. Do we have a budget to replace broken pieces?
They will get repaired or replaced. Okay. We do it annually. It's not a weekly thing. It's not a monthly thing. But yeah, every year we have to replace a couple of pieces.
Thank you.
We had one go on a walkabout once. The Queen disappeared for about 3 weeks, but she turned up on the doorstep of City Hall eventually.
They used to be wooden. Do you not have the wooden? Do you not have the wooden ones anymore?
The wooden ones are locked up. The wooden ones belong to the chess club for the most part. They pull them out on Saturdays. They use them on Saturdays. They are available to the public.
They are. They're costly to use. It's I think $45 versus $5 or whatever, you know, depending. So yeah, it's more worthwhile to use plastic. I'll tell you that.
And the plastic are free during the summer.
And in the summertime they're free.
Cheapest thing to do in the Embarcadero. Play chess.
On your break.
And you don't need to have glasses.
No, they're big enough.
They're big enough you can.
All right, does anybody else have any other questions for Mike? All right, well I think that's probably the end of the tour. We'll probably get on the trolley and go back, but I want to thank all of you for, this is my first tour today, so this was wonderful. It's always great to have Public Works here. I'm sure you saw the value in this because the RPC, as I've mentioned to Public Works staff, they really appreciate your involvement from Public Works in that. So we're gonna have more chats about how we can get them to meetings and give you some of these updates, because that's definitely valuable. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't clapping for myself. I was clapping for you guys.
Good job, Mike.